Well, good morning, everybody. This is Pastor Jay, and I'm coming to you from Cornerstone Church, and we're here today to do our Thursday Digging Deeper devotional. And all these last couple of weeks, we've been digging deeper into our series in the book of Romans called The Romans Road. We're still currently in Romans chapter 1, verses 13 through 17. Specifically, we're looking at verse 16, where Paul the Apostle says these words: I am not ashamed of the gospel, because it is the power of God that brings salvation to everyone who believes, first to the Jew, then to the Gentile. Now, we've been talking about this word salvation and what it means. And we've talked about how when Paul uses the word salvation, he's really talking about three things. He's talking about justification, the removal of our sin and unrighteousness, making us perfectly pure and clean. That's part of the work of salvation. It's just as if we never sinned at all. Our slate is cleaned. Our lives are cleaned. We are no longer sinners, but we are saints. Secondly, the sanctification. This is the process by which we become more holy and more righteous before God. It's a work of the Holy Spirit. Today, we want to talk about the third thing that Paul means when he uses the word salvation, and that is glorification. By that, I mean the final healing and restoration of our bodies, making them immortal and eternal. You see, this body, while I am saved, this body is not fully saved because it can still get sick. It can still die. And the final work of salvation is that work that makes us into immortal beings, beings that cannot get sick and that cannot die. Paul writes about this in 1 Corinthians 15, where he says, But someone may ask, how will the dead be raised? What kind of bodies will they have? What a foolish question. When you put a seed into the ground, it doesn't grow into a plant unless it dies first. And what you put in the ground is not the plant that will grow, but only a bare seed of wheat or whatever you are planting. Then God gives it the new body he wants it to have. A different plant grows from each kind of seed. And so then he goes on, and in verse 42, he says, It is the same way with the resurrection of the dead. Our earthly bodies are planted in the ground when we die, but they will be raised to live forever. Our bodies are buried in brokenness, but they will be raised in glory. They are buried in weakness, but they will be raised in strength. They are buried as natural human bodies, but they will be raised as spiritual bodies. For just as there are natural bodies, there are also spiritual bodies. And here Paul is talking about the resurrection from the dead, the final work of salvation, where this body gets transformed into a new body that cannot get sick, cannot die, and is not touched at all by the power of sin, sickness, or death. That's the word salvation. We'll go on with that in the next few days, talking more about what salvation is and what it means in our lives. Till we meet again, God bless you and be at peace.